Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fantasmic Commentary. My name is David Doggins Gansel, and I am joined by...
Charlie Spazmaster Callahan.
And I am Doug Walker, a.k.a. the Nostalgia Critic, impersonating some jerk with a camera, a.k.a. Tony Goldmark, a.k.a. God's Lord and Son, Jesus Christ.
So that's me about 40 pounds ago.
That's me about 100 pounds ago. Or at least, that was back when I could fit on Harry Potter for a timestamp.
And obviously, this was when I lived in Florida. And this project was a long time in the making.
Very long time.
It was.
It was so long we first discussed it on the thatguywiththeglasses.com forums.
Yes. I approached you guys on the forums about it. And at the time I approached you guys, like... I had some interaction with both of you, but we weren't really friends yet.
No, we hadn't met you yet in person.
Yeah.
Like you had appeared on a couple of my streams, and then you would
I showed up in chats.
Never talked.
Yeah. And I think the only interaction I had actually had with you, Tony, was like commenting on your thread on the forums, and you had asked me to do the cameo for the Small World review.
That's right.
And that was about the extent of our interaction. And this was back when I thought, once I finished Dave Does Disney, I would never make another theme park video again. So...
we were all so young and naive.
Oh, call it what you like. That was a thing.
Another dated reference.
Yeah, and the whole Keys gag is a reference to the Adventures in the Magic Kingdom video that I made.
That's
Which
right.
you still haven't posted to YouTube.
Not yet.
To my knowledge.
Not yet. I will get around to it.
This, by the way, the sweet sounds of Chris Pratt singing.
Catch your dream.
And the supporting cast of Parks and Rec with Duke Silver on saxophone.
Y'all.
So, and when I had approached you, I basically figured, well, like, when I discovered that there were other people making Disney park videos, I was like, well, I guess I can't retire from this without making some attempt to at least collaborate with the other people doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
And, by the way, there's no Disneyland Entertainment logo. I just wrote the word entertainment under the Disneyland logo there.
And this is me talking in one of many, many, many long-winded, parts of dialogue that I was written, because I did not contribute a whole lot to this outside of...
You punched some things up.
Outside of World of Color is better and me appearing in the video.
Well, I wrote, I tend to really overwrite monologues, as anyone who's watched my videos can attest to. But I also, since the whole thing of the original Dave Does Disney was me sort of discovering Disney World for the first time with only my Disneyland knowledge
Right.
to back me up, and also from the fact that I had never seen the Disneyland version of Fantasmic.
Love this Pac-Man joke. So great.
I was pretty proud of that. And also, this French joke, Tony, I remember it was your pitch that, like, it needs to have the Ratatouille music playing when it cuts to France. And
okay.
And then when it cuts back, just cut back to the same music as before. You had a lot of great punch-ups for the various cuts and drafts
I did a lot of punch-up to this, but I gotta say, I don't remember actually writing any first draft types. I remember I think you presented us with a first draft at first. And...
I presented you with the first draft based on in the forums private message thread.
Usually how co-reviews have worked for me is we decide on what we're going to review, and then we each separately go off and watch the thing and just make as many funny notes as we can, and then I send those notes to whoever's running the video, and they combine it into a full script. I don't think we did that before you wrote the first draft.
My first draft basically and part of this was my insecurity, again, about working with people I admired who I hadn't really worked with before to any great extent. I wanted to come in as prepared as possible.
Gotcha.
And I think, I incorporated some of the notes. You didn't do full...
I did write this. I remember. I wrote the bit about the L.A. riots and 9/11, and this came about because I thought, well, is it too insensitive to write about the fucking Rodney King verdicts, and then I thought, okay, well, we'll make a joke about how inappropriate it is, and And I think that was your idea of how to make the bit work.
Yes, and I'm reacting to your 9/11 joke while standing in front of the Tower of Terror gift shop.
But I
and
remember...
you're just right around the corner from Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror.
Different towers of different terrors.
But I remember, well, speaking of Punch Up, though, this was the only co-review I've ever been involved in where you actually sent me, very shortly before you released it, you actually sent me a rough cut of the finished episode just asking for editing notes. That's never happened to me before with any other co-review I've done. And I'm not saying it should, because I think people have the right to, edit their shows however they want. But the fact that you were asking me for feedback on that really meant a lot. And I remember one of my notes was on that bit where it cuts to me going, "You do not cross Disney." I said there should be a bigger pause after it cuts to me before I actually approach the camera and say, "You do not cross Disney," because I thought there should be a bigger pause there. So, we've talked over quite a bit of this episode already.
It's pretty top heavy just in terms of the first part is basically us talking about the history of the show.
Right.
And again, considering I'm the non-expert on Fantasmic specifically, that's why I gave you, Charlie, I gave you most of the actual explanatory stuff and me just sort of catching up on the exposition. And I didn't put a ton of effort into writing for everyone's distinct voices, which is apparent because I think everyone at least once was given a line with my cadence of, comma, comma, like.
Well, that's kind of that's a pretty common comedy trope, though.
Well, I think all three of us, using that as our jumping off point, did a pretty good job, translating it to our voices.
Well, and that's one of the things I said to you guys was, okay, so this is my draft. Please, if there's a wording or cadence you're more comfortable with or that you think fits your style better, please.
Which
pitch
is the
all
way
adjustments.
to do it.
Yeah,
definitely. You don't want to be too slavish with these things.
And
and that's one little line that I added. And I don't want to say it.
Yeah, you had a lot of little ad libs just at the end of your takes.
I always do that when I'm given a script that's for somebody else's thing.
And I incorporated quite a few. I think I incorporated most of those. That's my best friend Larry from high school. That was shot the same. He came down for some other episodes, and he appeared in those earlier. And the other key thing is I didn't put a whole lot of thought into everybody's voices, but I did kind of give Tony the most irreverent line. So that's why I gave Tony the sex dream running gag as established here. And there's sort of a thing in part one where Tony doesn't have much voiceover in part one because the thing at the beginning is Jerk doesn't want to be part of the review.
Right.
Then he just sort of starts being part of the review.
Yeah, I just barge in because I don't want you guys to do it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, and I this joke I pitched was the 9/11 of people.
The 9/11, yes. And that's my poorly drawn animated Mickey I've talked about in other commentaries, but that became a staple of the original Dave Does Disney.
Right. Is he showing up in Blitz California, by the way?
He will make at least one appearance.
Cool.
Probably not too many appearances, but without giving away too much about the Blitz California.
Oh.
And that was one of the other things was there's a couple of riffs where it's written that the riffer performs as Mickey. And I had to give those to the two of you because my Mickey voice, terrible as it is the canon Mickey voice in Dave Does Disney. So if I'm doing Mickey, it means the real Mickey is talking.
Even in the outtakes, you left a bit of audio in there. It's damn it, Dave, why did you make me do Mickey?
Yes. This is just me holding the camera on myself on Everest. Just no selfie stick, just holding the camera out towards myself. And I think I rode Everest 3 times in a row to make sure I had this shot, and it was... By the end of that, I was okay not riding Everest for a while. Great as Everest is. The soundtrack for this episode is also basically just every song I have with the word dream in the lyrics anywhere.
Yeah.
I think the one
I think I pitched a bunch to you.
You
that
pitched
you
a couple.
use,
Well, I know you pitched Spooky Mormon Hell Dream, which is used
Yeah.
in the credits for one of the parts, and
I know I pitched Miss Piggy singing "Dream a Little Dream of Me" from Muppet Vision.
yes,
that shows up
that
later,
comes. And I was going to use it anyway, but you also pitched "Stuck in a Closet with Vanna White."
Sure.
And there are a couple I didn't get around to. Like, I never used All My Only Dreams from the That Thing You Do soundtrack, and I probably should have, but nobody actually cares. It's just missed pop culture opportunities.
Well, the Tom Hanks certainly didn't care about that song in the movie.
Fagman. Okay, so this your reaction to me here.
Oh God.
The Alison Brie thing. Between writing the original version of this and you shooting it, Dan Harmon got fired from Community.
Yes.
So you pitched additions like, let's go throw rocks at Bob Greenblatt's house, or let's go get Dan Harmon his job back. And I said, let's do those, but let's also do ones just as written, just in case some good news happens.
And it did!
Yeah, it took me so long to edit the damn thing that by the time I was done, Dan Harmon was back on Community, and now Community doesn't exist in any form anymore.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, that bit is also Haley's favorite, as I remember.
I remember loving how much I looked like FDR in that.
Yeah.
I also, when I sent you the script, I sent you both the voiceover script and the on-camera script, and there were some places where I was very specific about where in Disneyland I wanted you to shoot, and then there were other points where I was just like, somewhere in Disneyland.
Yeah. That's how all my scripts go too. I just, I figure, well, once we get there, we'll find a location that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
There were probably... There wasn't anything I specifically requested you shoot on Tom Sawyer's
That's an
Island.
outdated URL.
Yeah, they all are.
Both of them. Well, except for Doggins. Is Doggins.com?
Doggins.com is still there, but nobody uses it. Nobody goes to it. I still update it, but everybody just watches me on YouTube.
Yep.